Hello and welcome back to Unity YouTube tutorials by Mafuta Game Studio for the Lordenfel RPG series. So in today's episode we're going to look at our first friendly NPC, which is the wife of the player at the farmhouse. So we're going to review the configuration for Aveline. So just as a bit of background, Aveline is a static NPC, so non-player character AI. She doesn't have the ability to attack enemies. Enemies shouldn't really be able to attack her, and we're going to make sure we don't spawn any enemies near her. She's not going to be able to walk around. So the topics that we will cover for Aveline is the AI presets, the configuration and RPG builder, and the animation overview. Then we'll see how the presets ties in with NPC setup, how to link the two, and begin to look at how to configure abilities and behaviors. And then a quick look at how to spawn her where in the scene. So in RPG builder, we look under AI presets Aveline, and we will see the required configuration. To set up a character like Aveline, we need a prefab, which is basically derived from the FBX model for Aveline, and an animator controller, in this case medieval female animator controller, and an avatar, SM medieval avatar. These settings here for the nameplate and the offset is used to see the distance from the player when her name will appear, and how high above her head and how big she will be. She will have a capsule collider, so the player can't walk through her. So to find the prefab, under assets, prefabs, we'll take a look, and it has a capsule collider, it has an animator. Now just a note, normally for NPC enemies you will not need an animator, since RPG builder will provide one for you, but in this case we will use our own. So here we're looking at her animation configuration, and it's set up in a group loop. So essentially she will be speaking, then idling, then a different idle, and then speaking. Here we're looking at the speaking configuration. Normal speed. But it is not set to loop, because we want it to be able to transition to the other animations. So therefore we use exit time, and this is where the transition happens, indicated by the blue line and controlled by exit time. The exit time settings, fixed duration to this value, and settings as per this slide. This is where the transition will happen. So next let's look at AI NPCs, how to link the preset to the NPC in the builder. So now we should have our preset set up, so we're going to go into AI NPCs Aveline and look at our base info. Base info is this really, her icon and her name and a unique ID. For the AI settings we will use the provided AI logic template which comes with RPG Builder. Advanced users can customize this and use their own, but there's no need for simple characters like this or while you're learning. Interesting note here, her phase, the phases is how she can change her behavior over time based on situations. She essentially doesn't really have a phase. We can set it to training dummy, which is a static, quote, non-smart NPC that doesn't have the ability to spot enemies or attack them or flee. We will assign the preset here, Aveline NPC preset that we created. And here, this is where the AI logic template is found in RPG Builder if you want to make a copy to customize it. And all it has by default is the mob combat entity script and the AI entity script, but that doesn't really apply to Aveline, so we still give the template, but effectively it doesn't do anything for her. Under functions, we set her literally as a training dummy. What actions can she do? She's not a merchant, so she can't sell anything to us, and we can't sell anything to her. She will provide quests, and the conversation for the quest will be something like, can I do something for you, from the player point of view. She will have dialogue, and there will be a talk to me default dialogue text. We'll see more how the dialogue is set up a bit later. She must be player interactable so that she can communicate with the player, and we do want to show her nameplate, but no movement and no collision. So Aveline can give us 3 quests. The quest to kill a wild bear, hunting rabbits, milking goats. We'll look into quests in detail. She can also complete quests. So for example, if we're done milking a goat, we can come back to her and we can say, okay, I want to hand in my goat's quest and get a reward. For dialogue, we will find this under World Dialogue Aveline as per the slide. Dialog works in combination with a graph. So the dialog graph we created is Aveline dialog graph, and it's assigned right here. It has an exit node, and this is optional goodbye text, which you may or may not use, but we don't set it here. Actually, we set it inside RPG Builder. This is just to show where the dialog graph is stored with all the related conversation. If we want to edit it, we use this button, Edit Graph. You can also double click Dialog Graph. And then these elements are just, each node is a conversation piece in the overall conversation, or options, or branches you could call them, depending on which choice the player makes when he talks to her. She will respond with the appropriate node. So here we're looking, for example, who's going to speak this block of text is the NPC, meaning Aveline. She's going to say, good morning, my love. I see you're awake early. Are you planning on going for a walk today? The player can then say, good morning, or another option, whatever we configure. Use the gear icon here to configure the interaction that you want. In this case, we're going to view it endlessly until you move on with the conversation, and click endlessly. If you don't want it or want it to happen only once, then disable this. Assign an icon, and here we can see the different flow of the conversation. You can create more nodes as needed. This is not the whole conversation, there's more to the right not shown here. For combat, just note that it's important that Aveline is part of the humans faction, and although we have checked reset phase after combat and instantly heal, it doesn't really apply to Aveline. Just in case she does get attacked on the odd chance, we will want her to heal. She will not be aggressive or take part in any fighting, so not applicable. This is how long to wait to respawn, minimum and maximum, and if she did get killed, how long it takes to remove the corpse. Again, not really applicable to Aveline because we're not going to have enemies attack her or near her. No rewards. This applies more to enemies and dropping loot. So in enemies, we'll see how that works. No loot tables for her. And the statistics It's mainly just the health stat at the moment, and quite a high value so that she is not easily killed by mistake. Now, we need to determine where we want to spawn her in a scene, and obviously we chose to spawn her inside the farmhouse. So to be able to spawn an NPC, they need the NPC spawner script. So this game object Aveline, it's just an empty transform at this XYZ coordinates where we will spawn her, similar to the cube and start player transform we discussed in earlier videos. So create an empty game object with a cube if you want. Remove the cube, remove the mesh ranger, remove the collider that's on it, and just use it as a transform of where it will spawn. So here we will say the NPC spawner script, spawner endlessly, so not just a one-time thing every time you play the game. Essentially we will do it by position, but if the player moves more than 100 units away for optimization, we will actually despawn her because he won't know that she's not there while he's outside the farmhouse or more than 100 units away. So no need to have her standing there idle when nobody can see her, right? We'll come back to these in future episode. And which NPC do we want to spawn? The Aveline NPC that we set up. So just to demonstrate, inside the Unity program, inside Wretched Island scene, made a game object called spawners. Aveline is one of them, and that's the position transform I mentioned, and the NPC spawner script is attached here. We can see this arrow block represents where she will be spawned and which NPC, her NPC. So if we look inside, this is exactly where she will spawn, next to the fire. And taking a look inside RPG Builder under AI presets for Aveline, we can see the prefab Aveline has been assigned. We have our own animator controller and avatar assigned here, and the related settings. So once you've got your preset and prefab configured under NPC Aveline base info AI settings, you will set the preset right here. The quest that she can provide, the quest completed, the dialogue setup, the combat setup, no aggro, respawn settings, rewards but not relevant, loot tables not relevant, and stats, our health is set to 300. So if we want to take a closer look at how the quest is set up for the goats, for example, you will find it under World Quest Milk Goats. It's just called Milk Goats. The UI is Milk Goats, objective is to milk goats, progress milk goats. And each quest has a related task. So under the task there's milk goats with settings. What do you need to do? You need to get 2 goat milk and you keep them. Then this goat milk item and related task called milk goats gets linked under quests. You can have the quest giver provide items to help the person who's doing the quest. You can assign certain requirements, more on that later. The objective relates to the task that we just seen, and you'll assign it to milk goats. Automatic rewards, we will give 1 apple, and then let the player choose 1 energy potion and 1 stamina potion. So more on quest later, this is just a quick introduction. Okay, we will continue in the next episode. Thanks for watching.